Hey, what is up guys? True Parashat here once again, bringing you another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the new hype train that we've all jumped aboard in the Dragon Ball Supercard game known as Broly Heart of Mastery. I'm just going to be talking about my version of the deck, some stuff you can do with the deck that other people may or may not be doing, and yeah, just giving you my overall thought process. Firstly, utmost, we're gonna say special thanks to the one and only 3xG, obviously, because some of this stuff comes from his lovely ideas, and I'm just giving you my own personal thoughts on it, and just the way I like to play the deck and cheese my opponent, because if we can't cheese the opponent in a proper way, it's not really considered a good win. So that's okay. So yeah, let's just go into the deck now. Not sure how I'm going to do this actually, because I'm looking at the image now. I'll probably fix it up in the recording, but you can see the whole deck here. How I'm looking at the time magic is cut out at the bottom, so I'll figure something out. Good thing Photoshop exists, so that's fine. But yeah, let's just get started. So for those of you who don't know what Broly does, if you guys remember back in the day, there's this card called Ginyu, and Ginyu legit did similar stuff that Broly did, mainly self-awakening and generated card value, but Broly just does it on steroids, just straight up. So when Broly attacks, you can take a card from your life and add it to your hand, and if you do that, you do draw a card. Normally, they restricted this to if you attack a leader card, but Broly's like, nah fam, I attack anything and get cards, so that's fine. So that's pretty balanced. He's untap 2, so you flip over and untap 2 energy, which is also fine because you draw too many cards, so that's okay. And then his backside, which is balanced, proper balance, is every time he attacks, he draws a card. That's fine. That's on every leader in the game, or almost every leader in the game. Active main, you choose one of your opponent's cards and put it in rest mode. Really good for tapping stuff like Yajirobe and blockers and that. Mainly good for blockers, because your opponent thinks they're safe and then it's like, all right, cool, I'll put your card in rest mode, and then you kill them, so it's okay. Then his ability, which is actually perfectly balanced and does not need to be changed remotely, is you take a card from your life and you put any card you control into active mode. So Bandai, I agree with you. This is fair and reasonable. Like, there's not honestly any cards that are worth putting into active mode after you've used them. Honestly, there's no cards at all. So that makes perfectly balanced. When you have the other promo that lets you look for top 5 cards from your deck for cards that currently don't exist in the format, that card is broken. They were really smart on this decision, but that's okay. They'll learn from their mistakes. Honestly, they'll probably errata this later to be only able to untap one of your opponent's cards. So once they do that, they'll give this card the power it really deserves. But yeah, that effect's insanely broken. Lets you untap your Heart of Mastery or any card, any energy itself, because you can untap itself and swing with it again and draw an additional card, which is pretty dumb. But yeah, this leader's just insane. This leader's probably the most broken leader card they've ever printed. It has so many effects and has access to so many things that are broken. So in my honest opinion, I think this is the strongest leader card ever printed in this game, just because it does too much stuff. Anyway, enough rambling about the leader. Let's talk about the deck now. So Storm Engine's pretty good, or Swap Engine, sorry. We'll start off with the 1-drops and I'll go over everything and why it's there. So the two 1-drops we have 4 Bardoks and 4 Grandfather Gohans. We are a Storm deck, so obviously we just want to be able to get as much card value and attack value as possible. Grandfather Gohan's a good late game when we don't want to take a life, but obviously Bardock, more damage, so really good. And I also have Bardock Will of Iron in the sideboard, so if I do decide to put that into the side that in, you can just combo that into play. And obviously, if we have 3 or 4 Grandpa Gohans, we kind of can't use them to evolve into Iron Will Bardock, so that's why we have 4 Bardocks and 2 Gohans. Now, the two drops that have swap, we have the 2-drop Gohan and the 2-drop Goku. Now, honestly, the only difference between the two, well, is that one has 15k power and the other one has 10k power and barrier. We are a Storm deck, so we are just generally trying to kill our opponent and apply as much pressure as possible. So normally you swap into the Goku. Gohan's okay if you want to play a bit more of a slower game. Sometimes you feel like it's a bit risky. For example, if you're versing Baby Leader, he can kill the Goku with Revenge Death Ball, whereas he can't really do that to Gohan. And yeah, it's the main differences between those two. Then the other two drops we run 4 Videl and 2 Gene here to support. Now, I'll go over Jean first. Jean is just another 15k card, but when Jean attacks or you combo with her, you have the option of milling the top 3 cards of your deck. That just allows you to get to your sparking faster on the 7-drop Goku. Honestly, because we are playing Storm, we do use pretty much every card in our hand a fair amount, so it is not really necessary. It's okay, but it's not 100% required. Then we have Videl over here. Videl is broken as, because we don't have Goten anymore, that got banned. What Videl does is that you put it into rest mode, you give one of your cards 5k power, and you also get to draw a card. Into the Shenron matchup, this card's insane, because Shenron doesn't generally do anything for the first couple of turns, other than just draw cards. And you get to do that as well with Videl. Usually, like, if I versus Shenron, I will always, like, mulligan, try and have, like, 2 to 3 Videls in hand, because they're not getting removed from the board until, like, turn 3, so you already draw just so many cards off them, which is pretty insane. So Videl is really good. It makes up for the void that Goten had, of just being able to get cards, and, it's pretty fair. Fair card. We'll go over to the 3 drops for the swap engine next. We have the Son Goku, Path to Greatness, and then 3 Gohans, the Kid Goku clone. You see there, I've got the one I was striving to be the best Vegeta. Now, normally, what I was originally intending to do is do a 2-2 split of those cards. But when I was building this deck in person, I realized that I had pretty much all my Vegeta striving to be the best in a different deck, and I only had 1 spare, and I couldn't be bothered taking apart that deck, so I just ran 1-3. And honestly, really liked that decision, because when your opponent plays their striving to be the best Goku, obviously, if you look at this deck doesn't have a way to get around that, but we have a way to get over it, because we have a lot of 3 drops that we can play and still do the same thing. So that's why swapping into the Gohan still is just really good. Kill something in rest mode and just another attacker in board. So it actually feels really good doing a 3-1 split, but obviously, you see there in the corner, there's another Vegeta in the sideboard. So, yeah, and what Gohan does is that when you play it, you kill something in rest mode. So, really good Shigesh target, and also really good to swap into. Now, the reason why this deck is a thing, and why everyone's raving over Hydra Mastery, and why every card in this thing has gone up like $50 apparently. I mean, or like 300 if its name's Victory Strike. Path to Greatness, Son Goku. So this card has barrier, insane, 19k power, so on defense it's a 20k. So it's pretty hard. It's really hard already just from these 2 things to kill this card. And it's auto. We'll go over the swap effect in a second, but its auto skill is that when you play this card, you choose one of your opponent's cards and put it in rest mode. This first effect is okay, but it doesn't really matter too much because your leader already does this, so that's fine. But then it also says just draw 1. So when you play this card with swap, it's a +2 in a sense. Or just generically, it replaces itself and get a +1. Because when you play it with swap, whatever battle card you had in play comes back to your hand, and then you draw a card. So that's really good. Considering all the other effects it has, it didn't really need that effect, but it's just really nice to be able to do. Also, when you Shigesh this card in play, it kind of makes it so playing Shigesh doesn't feel as bad in the sense of like not drawing cards. In that aspect, when you play Shigesh, you feel great, but now Shigesh kind of replaces itself when you use it, which is really nice. And the main thing is, the reason why everyone's raving about this is swap Sparking 7, swap 8 Sparking 7 for yellow energy. So how the swap engine used to work before, so with the Gohan, for example, Gohan had to swap into a 4-drop, then a 5-drop, and then he can go into the 8-drop. So that's an additional 2 swaps you have to do, and that's another 7 energy, because the swap from 3 to 4 is 2 energy. Then the swap from 4 to 5 is 3 energy. And then the swap from 5 to 8 is 4 energy. So you essentially skip 2 steps to play your 8-drop, which is pretty insane considering how powerful the 8-drop initially already was. But now, I don't think I've had a game where I haven't dropped this card on turn 4. It's so easy to do, considering this card is the deck is just overall really consistent. And yeah, that literally just summarizes. It's just consistent. So you get to see pretty much every card in your deck. Like almost every card in your deck is searchable. The only cards in the deck that aren't searchable is your Scientist Fu, your Hydra Mastery, your Furthering Destruction Chomper, and then all your extra cards. And Videl, but that's fine. Other than that, every card in the deck is searchable. So that's for like 30 something cards searchable. So you get to see everything you need. So you get to do it just way too often. But yeah, the next, we'll obviously talk about Heart of Mastery now. So what Heart of Mastery does, it has deflect, so it can't be hit by Cold Bloodlust or Crushable, stuff like that. Triple attack and, no, triple strike and dual attack. Insane. Just insane. When you play this card, you usually win the game. And then its auto skill is that when you play it with swap, you choose 3 of your opponent's energy or battle cards and put them in rest mode. It's absurd. Absurdly strong. Especially if you're going first, when you usually play this card turn 4. It's very rare that I don't play it turn 4. But when I played, I literally put all my opponent's energy in rest mode and then kill them because it's just so dumb. One thing people you might be thinking now, oh, what if they sparking negate? Because this deck is Storm, essentially everything's a kill threat in the deck because we run the double strike. So we're fine if they decide to be like, I'm going to sparking negate your attack. Cool, take a life. You're killing yourself doing that. So that's perfectly fine. The only deck that kind of could survive is Janimba and Shenron to an extent. Like, survive the Storm Rush, because Janimba is obviously a super defensive deck. So with Janimba's effect, it can negate an attack for free, and also sparking negate to untap stuff. But yeah, but it's still just insane. You kill pretty much every other deck fairly fast. And yeah, that's about does with Heart of Mastery, the win con. We'll talk about some of the other cards. Scientist Fu. The reason why I personally prefer Scientist Fu over Mirror is the fact that for Mirror to be, if you want Mirror to be maximum value, you require 4 cards and then 3 energy. The reason I say that is because obviously with your Mirror, you always want to use Chomper to give it double strike. So that's 2 cards already, the Mirror, the Chomper, and then 2 energy, the 2 energy to play the cards. And then you also need a Battering Laser, so that's a 3rd energy and a 3rd card. 2 more cards, sorry, because Battering Laser requires you to discard a card just to get around the negates. I've had too many games where I've played a Mirror and I haven't been able to kill my opponent because it's just tanked my hand and they just had like enough cards to deal with it. What I mean by that is, I know I sound crazy right now, but that's my thought process behind it. It costs you 4 cards and 3 energy. I know the effect is insane. It's almost when the attack goes off, it usually always works. But because my deck already provides so much pressure, and I'd much rather draw more cards to like increase that pressure instead of committing 4 cards in my hand where I'm usually comboing a lot of the cards or doing other things where sometimes it's honestly hard to pull off Mirror. But yeah, that's my thought process behind it. The thing with Scientist Fu is that it already has double strike and built, so let's say my opponent is at 2 life, I can swing with Scientist Fu, they might negate it or combo over my attack, then I put Scientist Fu back in active mode and swing again. Whereas with Mirror, let's just say now they do negate my attack. I need to still have all the stuff available to do the things again. I know I sound crazy, but you know, Scientist Fu is a +2. Whereas Scientist Fu lets you draw 2 cards, where Mirror makes you use 4 cards. So there you go. Thought process analysis. Just understand me, please. I'm begging you. Just test it out for yourself, and you'll understand. You'll see the light. But the last 2 remaining battle cards in the deck. Well, we've got Vegeta Striving to be the best as well. Sorry, so that you just should get that out to kill cards with barrier. One of because there's honestly not too many cards that threaten you that have barrier, so it's okay. Mainly deadly defenders, but yeah, if there was a lot of deadly defenders, you started that in. That's fine. Then Preference of Recovery Son Goku. This card is really good game 1 because you have your Shigesh, so you can use this to extend your plays. You Shigesh this out, untap 2 energy, and then you have another 15k body on the board with barrier. And your opponent doesn't want to deal with this card because it doesn't have anything to do with your deck. All it does is let you untap 2 energy. Whereas they'd much rather kill other stuff. So you essentially have like a free 15k body on the board. And it is good. And it untaps 2 energy, letting you extend your play. So let's just say now you are at 3 energy and you have not awakened yet and you're at 4 life. You can do all your stuff. You swing with one of your battle cards. You should Shigesh this out, untap 2 energy, do some more stuff with your 2 energy. Then you untap your leader, untap 2 energy, and do stuff again. This card allows you to replicate what Storm was able to do before all the nerfs and that, which is really insane. But again, you'd always side this out game 1 because 9 out of 10 people have Shigesh counter in sideboard being the Cronoa, so they'd put that in the main board to counter you, and then you have physically no way of playing this card, so you want to take it out because you don't want to charge its energy because it's not yellow energy, and you can't play it anymore because Shigesh is negated. So yeah, really good game 1 card, but I'd honestly always recommend deciding this out. Then of course Champa, give your thing double strike, and yeah. So now we'll go over the extra cards. Planet Vegeta is the main one I want to talk about here because all the other cards are pretty self-explanatory. Because Success of Hope searches for all your Goku's lineage stuff for swap. Cold Bloodlust because we're a Frieza army leader, so we have access to that. Lets you stop. I think the big thing really is just Chain Zeno. Stops that, as well as if you have an energy open, if they go to Shigesh, you can stop whatever card they play. And then Time Magic is a Sparking Negate that also stops this deck and also stops Shenron, because you can just, use that effect, take a card from your life, and then whatever card they're trying to kill you with can't attack anymore. So that's really good. Planet Vegeta, this I personally really like it because it helps you be a lot more consistent with your deck. I'm perfectly fine using an energy on turn 1 to search for a Shigesh or stuff like that. That's honestly the big reason for it, though. It is to search Shigesh. It lets you extend your plays in an unfair way that your opponent may or may not be expecting. I know a lot of people do prefer mainboarding Battering Laser, but how I see it is that you're generating a lot more card value, and what's the other word I'm looking for? I don't know, but you're just getting more value out of playing a Planet Vegeta because it lets you get any card from your deck that you need in whatever situation you're in. And because you're applying more pressure onto your opponent's using more cards out of their hand. Where it is true that Battering Laser will guarantee you wins. My play style is that I prefer to be always pressuring my opponent, and I don't need to rely on that card. I do have it in the sideboard because it is, like I said, it is still guaranteeing wins. But how I like to play the game, I do not rely on it as much. So, and Planet Vegeta just feels a lot better for me, being able to search any of my cards, including the preface, including my super combos, etc., etc. And yeah, that does it for the main board. So, yeah, I really do recommend trying this out. I know a lot of people do be like, oh, Mirror, Battering Laser, stuff like that. Those cards are guarantee wins, but this deck just wins anywhere. The deck is a guarantee win. Not all the time, though, unless you get outplayed sometimes, But, but yeah, really quickly talking about the sideboard. Honestly, a lot of the cards in the sideboard don't really matter. There's only like 2 cards in the sideboard that actually matter that you will be siding in. So we'll go over everything though. 2 Battering Laser. Like I said, Mirror plus Battering plus Champa is you win the game. That's usually the end result. So there you go. Just in case you might need it, you might feel like using it. I don't know. I just have in the sideboard because why not? 2 Flying Nimbus, not really worthy of mainboard slot, honestly, because you do have Shigesh, so that kills stuff, and it doesn't really matter too much. It's like people don't play swarm decks anymore, like veggies mainly, because Kami's a thing, and they get just hard shot down by Kami. So that's like the big thing you need to worry about, but sometimes you might need it in the main, so that's fine. Vegeta striving to be the best, just another one, just in case my opponent is playing Gogeta Shenron mainly, just gives us an out to that. 2 Bardock Will of Iron. I haven't actually tested starting this in, but in theory it's really good because if they're playing a lot of striving to be the best, we get more value. Instead of swapping with our Bardocks, we can get 2 20k double strikers and we also have Planet Vegeta in the deck, so we get a lot of value out of those cards, so that's why I've got them there. 3 Kanoas. This is one of the 2 cards that actually matter in the sideboard. Matt Coombs, 3xG, shout out to the boy. You literally just want to play your Cronoa and, stop Shigesh. The reason why I said shout out to Matt Coombs, he told me his Patreon shows you the tactics, the pro tactics of how to sideboard. So, it's a good call. But, yeah, next thing we've got Forced Objection Marseille. I haven't tested this card out too much. The theory behind this card is sorry, I got really interrupted. But the theory behind the Forced Objection Marseille, if your opponent's ramping a lot, you use this to warp on their energy. In theory, it's really good, but I haven't had the chance to test it out yet. But what tends to happen most of the time is that you just kill your opponent anyway. Like, the honest truth is that I could make them lose 1 energy, or I could make them lose 8 life. That's the shit how I look at it. So, look, me personally, I like to think myself as an intellectual. So instead of killing their 1 energy, I'll prefer to take their 8 life. So that's how I like to look at this. But I do want to test it out, actually. It does seem really good, but again, the deck is Storm, and Storm just kills your opponent, so you don't really have to worry about too much of that other stuff. Plus, we have Harder Mastery to tap energy anyway, which kind of replicates the effect of killing an energy anyway, so that's fine. The one of Mirror, Battering plus Champa plus Mirror equals guaranteed win. Whatever my reasoning, Fu is good card, Please don't hate me. I see the pitchforks outside my house right now. I value my life, so please just spare me for my opinion. I beg of you. And then the one card that's actually insane in the sideboard, the one card that I literally sold my house to buy because it's that expensive, is Son Goku, the Awakened Power, the secret rare of Tournament Power, worth at least 14 million by the time I've uploaded this video. Honestly, it's, if I were you, I would sign away your life insurance and just buy this card. If you die, that's okay, because you have this card, and whoever is your next of kin will be able to inherit this card and resell it for 50 million, and they'll moan your death immensely. I don't know what I just said, but anyway, the point why this card's insane. This card, you don't need to main board it, but this card is a free win against Shenron matchups and mainly Janemba. The reason being is that those decks can actually survive Storm to an extent. Obviously, when you play Harder Mastery, you can kill them, but they make it a little bit harder to kill them. So I actually had a game on Octagon where I played a Janemba deck in a best of 3, and what ended up happening in game 1 was it was pretty hard for me to close out the game. Of course, I won because I was the superior player at the time. And then I thought, like I said before, an intellectual, I sided this card in. And then my opponent was wondering why I hadn't attacked him for the first 4 turns of the game with any of my cards. I'd swing with my leader, and that was it. And then he thought I was trolling in the game. He's like, dude, do you not want to win? Hello? And then I played my Harder Mastery, tapped him out, and then I played Victory Strike. And you know what he said to me? He said one word to me. He said same, and then left. Because there was no counterplay. Oh, he didn't say that, but that's how I won that game. So Harder Mastery, Victory Strike's insanely good if you are, playing into those more defensive decks that can actually fend you off to an extent, because generally they see their win condition as keeping their life high, so they can kill you eventually. If you are doing the exact same thing you're doing, like the only play difference is that for how I do it, instead of untapping my Harder Mastery on turn 4, I untap one of my energy, so I have the card to so I have the energy to evolve into Victory Strike. Sorry, but yeah, that's the deck overall. I'll figure out how I'm gonna Photoshop this in a second. But yeah, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I just hope to entertain people, and give them the knowledge they deserve. So yeah, if you really enjoyed this, feel free to hit me up in the comment section saying, wow, dude, I really like Planet Vegeta. It's a great card. And then also feel free to hit me up on my Patreon, obviously. And by Patreon, I mean my PayPal is in the description below. Hit me up with some money, please. And yeah, until next time, this is True Pyro Shad signing out. Peace.